The Red Place is the third episode of Season 8 of The Rookie. We're here. While Lucy and Tim are getting used to living together and Seth unexpectedly re-enters Miles' life, The Rookie Season 8 Episode 3, The Red Place, delivers a fairly murky and gloomy case that brings back some of Lucy's darkest memories. Armed? Now let's go. Memories of trauma. The case in The Rookie Season 8 Episode 3, The Red Place, this week is unsettling. For Lucy in particular. She recognized herself in Julie when she talked about her feelings, her remorse over not doing more, and what she could have done better. This was how Lucy felt after being abducted. Lucy hasn't discussed it with anyone or said it aloud for fear of coming across as weak or stupid, even though she isn't. They did nothing improper. They are not to blame for what occurred to them. However, feeling this way is common. It's common for them to believe that things would be different if they had made different decisions. They despise themselves and accuse themselves of failing to do so. But that's unfair. The monsters who abducted them are solely to blame for what transpired. Nobody else. Furthermore, there is nothing they could have done to alter the course of events. They were in the creature's sights. The only thing Lucy and Julie could do was to survive. That is all that is important. Both Julie and Lucy are extraordinarily courageous and powerful, and based on what we saw in The Rookie Season 8 Episode 3, The Red Place, Julie will get better. Similar to what Lucy did. Nevertheless, it was interesting to discover more about Lucy's feelings following her ordeal and how she dealt with her trauma. We also appreciate that she and Lucy developed this relationship, and the show shows them as survivors. The Rookie Season 8 Episode 3, The Red Place, features an incomplete move-in. In The Rookie Season 8 Episode 3, The Red Place, Lucy's situation wasn't quite dire. There are benefits to living with Tim, but there are drawbacks as well. Tim is becoming more irritable due to those boxes. We appreciated that he understood it wasn't right, even though we didn't like how harsh he was with Lucy. That demonstrates his growth. Playing devil's advocate, we are aware of both perspectives in this box predicament. To make it genuine and, in a sense, permanent, Tim needs Lucy's belongings to be incorporated into the house. Additionally, everything seems too transient with the boxes containing all of her belongings strewn around. It seemed as though Lucy might decide to move in at any time and take her belongings with her. For the same reason, Lucy, however, wants to proceed more slowly. She reminded Tim in Episode 1 that although she loves him, certain wounds leave scars that haven't completely healed. She fears that once she moves out, it will seem like there is no turning back. Additionally, those crates in the center of the living room give Lucy the impression that she will have a way out if necessary. But Lucy discovers that's crap after her day in The Rookie Season 8 Episode 3, The Red Place. She loves Tim and wants nothing more than to live with him and start a life together, so she doesn't need a way out. It is a waste of time to put it off. She chooses to either make it official or let Tim do it. What a queen. Acquiring knowledge from errors. Seth's appearance in The Rookie Season 8 Episode 3, The Red Place, caught us off guard. The worst thing about Seth's self-pity is that he still won't accept accountability for his deeds. He holds everyone in his immediate vicinity accountable for his circumstances. Anything but acknowledge his own part in it all. Seth treated Miles like trash, despite his sincere desire to assist him. Nevertheless, Seth is correct in one regard: Miles is unaware of his emotions. Seth won't benefit from meaningless chatter or empty words. Seth needs to be heard first. However, he also needs to set limits and cease pretending that he did nothing wrong. In order to grow from his mistakes, he must accept responsibility for them. Miles does just that in The Rookie Season 8 Episode 3, The Red Place, which is why we're so proud of him. He will listen to Seth and assist him, but he won't cooperate. And we sincerely hope that everything works out and that Seth abides by the most crucial guideline this time. Other things in The Red Place, Season 8, Episode 3 of The Rookie. Lucy settles in slowly. It's understandable that Tim feels irritated by the boxes everywhere. This is a significant step for them, and it's obvious that Tim wants their routine to be in sync, which is impossible while Lucy is still unpacked. But can we discuss the growth? They are speaking to each other. This scene might have easily ended with one or both of them dismissing the issue and allowing it to consume them till they were fighting about it, making something so straightforward into something more complicated than it needed to be. Tim is right when he says that, it won't feel like you've fully moved in until the boxes are gone. We can acknowledge that this is a legitimate justification for wanting the boxes to go, right? Lucy is right, it will be more effective if they take their time. Tim concurs, and we applaud their capacity for compromise. After a long workday, Lucy agreed that the boxes needed to be removed and wished to return home peacefully when it came time to unpack. Ironically, though, she assigned Tim this duty while she supervised. They're compromising once more. I'm rapidly coming to love this new phase of Tim and Lucy. John discovers a piece of a cold case that is missing. This was such a heartbreaking scenario. John brought someone in who had been caught trespassing, which allowed them to get a break in a cold case. A few years ago, there was a triple homicide that claimed the lives of a husband and wife as well as their daughter, whose body was never discovered. Their fingerprint was the only item they had, and it didn't match anyone in the database. The missing pieces of this case began to fit together after Ezra Kane's fingerprints were obtained. John is tasked with interviewing him because he was the cop who made the arrest. Normally, I would object to this, it should have been the detectives, but John manipulates suspects by using his empathy in a way that essentially makes them confess. It was wise of Nyla and Angela to let John take the initiative in this situation. When Ezra's stolen credit cards were examined for recent expenditures, one of them revealed a recent motel charge. When Lucy and Selena visit, they discover it isn't empty. Samantha Poston, the daughter who was thought to have been killed along with her family, is still alive and has been in prison for so long. I shuddered. I got chills because Ezra sat there and told this narrative as though he wasn't the one who killed Samantha's family and kept her hostage the whole time. His personality immediately changed, and it became clear that he was a psychopath. His whole attitude shifted when he realized he was being captured. He even revealed that he had kidnapped another girl. Samantha overhears Selena telling Lucy that Ezra wants to speak with her and that he would only let the other girl, whom he is holding captive, to be close. If he speaks with her, the red place will be free. Samantha loses it as a result of this. You could tell how much Ezra had to go through for her to want to hurt herself the way she did in this scene, which was quite tragic. Thankfully, they were able to locate the missing girl without causing Samantha any more anguish. If John hadn't hauled Ezra in for something as obviously insignificant as trespassing, the case would never have been concluded. A flashback to the day of death. Although there have previously been references to the episode Day of Death, Season 2, Episode 11, Lucy is now discussing it more than she has in years. There have been many lost chances for the viewer to see how much being abducted and imprisoned has impacted her, but now we get a glimpse. Indeed, even if she is discussing it, I believe there may have been more, so I do mean a glance. But it's a beginning. Selena mentions that they haven't really discussed what happened to Lucy as they are traveling to the motel. Evening's mention of the situation with her sister, which in my opinion would have been the ideal chance to elicit a reaction from Lucy, was insufficient to get her to do so. Selena is informed by Lucy that she is not interested in reliving that specific tragedy. I could be getting close, but it seemed to me that Lucy didn't put in the effort necessary to accept what she had experienced. I'll go on to explain that as Lucy is conversing with Samantha and obtaining information, it seems as though she is speaking to a former version of herself that was a victim of kidnapping. She's saying things that she needed to hear at the time, and as a result, she started to defend her. That protectiveness was evident to Lucy when Selena asked to talk to her and explained Ezra's expectations. She could be heard telling Selena, "No, forget that, he just wants to keep traumatizing her." Selena is perplexed when Samantha locks herself in the room, but Lucy soon realizes that the red room was probably a trigger for Samantha. Returning to Lucy's situation, I am immediately reminded of her being triggered twice, once when Rosalind sings the song she sung in the barrel, Season 3, Episode 1, and again when she learns Rosalind has fled custody, Season 5, Episode 1. Although Lucy clearly did not follow Samantha's path when she tried to harm herself, this undoubtedly caused Lucy to feel something, and it also initiates the dialogue that we have been longing for. Lucy confides in Samantha about her experiences. Once more, it seems as though Lucy is speaking to her former self throughout this exchange, and it felt like the beginning of their mutual recovery. I don't mind being the only one who thinks this, but Lucy still needs to recover. I wish she had talked more about her experiences at home with Tim. We all seen his behavior during her kidnapping, so it would have been wonderful if he had brought it up once more to see how she was doing with today's events, even if it was only to say, "I'm here if you ever want to talk about it." I want to hear from you, but I could spend hours discussing this episode. Comment below with your comments on The Red Place. The Red Place was successful despite having very few jokes and no humorous subplots. In its latter 2 seasons, the Rookie's plot became comfortable. Usually, the show falls somewhere between a serious primary plot and 1 or 2 comic subplots, or vice versa. The Rookie did, however, occasionally go too far with its humor in Season 7, as seen in A Deadly Secret, the most recent documentary-themed episode, and The Mutiny and the Bounty, which brought back Skip Tracer Randy, Flola Borg. For The Rookie, the pendulum occasionally leans excessively towards comedy, but The Red Place is one instance where the pendulum leans heavily towards drama. At points, The Red Place was more like a Luther episode than a standard episode of The Rookie. Considering how light-hearted the first 2 episodes of Season 8 were, the episode's overwhelmingly somber tone was fascinating. The investigation of Kane by the Mid-Wilshire police officers and, subsequently, the hunt for his most recent victim remained the main emphasis. In this episode, Jonathan Nolan, Nathan Fillion, really stepped up, and Krumholtz gave a terrifying portrayal of Ezra Kane. Kane becomes absolutely horrifying as he takes off his disguise as an apparently innocuous and clumsy man. This kind of adversary is uncommon in The Rookie, and even the late, great Annie Wersching delivered a different kind of intensity as Rosalind Dyer. Krumholtz's performance had an eerie, unsettling quality. In order to support another survivor, Lucy Chen acknowledges her past trauma. Another outstanding feature of The Red Place is how Lucy Chen, Melissa O'Neill, was given the chance to assist Samantha, an abduction victim who was imprisoned, tormented, beaten, and brainwashed by Kane after he killed her parents. When Lucy and Selena Juarez, Seth Chavez, bring up The Red Place, Samantha locks the officers out of her hospital room and repeatedly stabs herself with a medical syringe since she was so severely traumatized by Kane. The graphic portrayal of such a horrifying act of self-harm was a very dark moment that wasn't typical of The Rookie. Nonetheless, the sequence successfully highlights Ezra Kane's wicked nature and the probably unspeakable brutality he inflicted upon victims like Samantha. In Season 2, Lucy was abducted by Rosalind Dyer's protégé, serial killer Caleb Wright, Michael Cassidy, and she eventually helped Samantha through her ordeal by sharing with the unfortunate child her own prior tragedy. Lucy's willingness to talk about this was a very moving moment because she doesn't often talk about or revisit her past pain. Lucy's admission that she spent months feeling terrible about her own captivity was similarly poignant in helping Samantha see that she is not to blame for Kane's heinous deeds. Lucy also tells Samantha that acknowledging her survival is the first step towards moving ahead. Watching Lucy guide a victim through such a horrific journey is if there is any hope or optimism to be gained from such a dark and terrible plot. O'Neill's acting in the sequence, which highlights Lucy's vulnerability to help someone else, is excellent. Lucy's connecting with Samantha is probably one of the most real, sincere, and emotional scenes in the show's history. The Rookie, a nice change of pace is provided by becoming serious. To be clear, we're not saying that episodes like The Red Place should become the norm, but The Rookie needed an episode like this after a season in which Raj Bronson, Xander Hawley, the singer from Daddy Cop, became a recurring character and Selena's boyfriend, along with a bit too much comedic irreverence. Now, the show has demonstrated that, when needed, it is capable of doing something entirely serious without any humor or jokes. Yes, a lighter episode the following week will be necessary as a decent palate cleanser after such a dirty and nasty plot. However, a darker plot, even if it's a one-off, offers a satisfying change of pace for the program after Season 7's heavy emphasis on comic subplots.